Mun, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so glad you're here. If you aren't familiar with my channel, I do work full-time in a corporate job, and on the side, in my free time, I like to sell on the Poshmark app. And a lot of the times I talk about tips and tricks for reselling, but I wanted to do a little bit of a different video today and talk about buying on Poshmark, specifically buying luxury items. So I love to use just a little bit of my Poshmark earnings every once in a while to purchase a luxury item like a handbag or a really nice dress or some sort of designer brand. Think of brands like Gucci or Chloe or Louis Vuitton when I'm talking about luxury. And I've learned a few things along the way about how to buy luxury on Poshmark, about 6 tips that I think would help you. So if that sounds interesting or you're looking to buy something luxury on the site, stay tuned and I'll share my 6 tips. I'm putting this first tip as number 1 because I think it's the most important out of the 6 tips, which is to make a luxury wish list of the items you want to purchase before you start shopping on Poshmark. And this can be as specific or generic as you want it to be. For example, maybe you just want any sort of Chloe authentic branded bag. That's what you want and anyone will do. Or maybe you want to be really specific with the items on your wish list. Like one for me right now is I want a Louis Vuitton Neverfull Damier Azur with the pink ballerine lining with the pouch. I know that's super specific, but it's what I'm looking for. So it can be more generic, it can be more specific, but make that wish list before you start shopping. It really prevents impulse buys and prevents you from spending a lot of money on an item you may not use, because when you're purchasing luxury, you want to make sure you get your use out of it. And in order to do that, I think it's important to make that wish list. Number 2 is to utilize the Just In feature on Poshmark. This can be a great way to snatch up a designer deal for a great price before anybody else buys it. I find brands like Gucci, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, if they're authentic and at a good price, they go really fast. And so utilize that Just In filtering feature on Poshmark to make sure you're seeing the most recent deals. When I mentioned the tip about sorting by Just In over on my Instagram page at @MLahMun, I'll leave it down below if you want to go check out my Instagram page or follow me. A lot of people were asking about, well, how do I do that? How do I sort by Just In? And I'll kind of just walk through the process very quickly so you know how to sort by Just In on particular brands. So let's say you're looking for something that's a Louis Vuitton handbag. What you would do is you would go to the Louis Vuitton brand, and then you would go to this little filter in the upper right hand corner you see there with like the blue dot. And so you would go to that, and then you would pick the option here at the top that says sort. You can see right here it defaults to sorting by just shared. And you would change that to sort by Just In. And then you'll see everything that's available. This is how I found some of my best luxury purchases, and I think it's just a really good thing to keep in mind when buying luxury items on Poshmark, because you can snatch them up before anybody else does. My next tip is to investigate the closet where the item is listed. So I tried to do this to prevent myself from buying anything that's a replica, and I'm not perfect at this, but I find that looking through the closet that's selling the luxury item can be a good authentication if it's a real deal or if it's going to be some sort of a scam. So what I do is I go into the closet that has the item that I'm thinking about purchasing, and I look to see if they have a good history of other items listed, other items sold. Maybe they have some other designer brands in their closet as well. It's just something that makes me more comfortable when buying a luxury item, and I just try to investigate the closet a little bit just to make sure the item is the real deal and legit before purchasing. And this next tip kind of goes along with it. Number 4 is don't be afraid to ask questions. So if you're going to spend a significant amount of money on a luxury item on the Poshmark app, you want to make sure, like I said before, it's the real deal. And so in my case, when I'm looking for a luxury item, I'm going to be asking questions like, can you provide more pictures of the serial number? Can you provide the receipt when you send it? Do you have the dust bag? Where was this purchased? And I know that's a lot of information, but I tend to do that to make sure that I'm getting the real deal, and it just helps make me feel more comfortable when buying a luxury item. I do ask significantly more questions than if I'm just buying an item, let's say that's $20, but I think it's justified because obviously that item is a lot more money. So just ask questions if you have them. Obviously you want to be polite and respectful, but I try to ask as many questions as I need to feel comfortable purchasing an item. Number 5 is something I like to do with both thrifted items and items I purchased on Poshmark, which is to use a service called Real Authentication to authenticate items once they get to you. So I don't know if you know this about Poshmark, but after you purchase an item and it's delivered, you have 3 days to accept the item before the funds are released to the seller. So what I did recently with a Gucci Dionysus bag that unfortunately ended up being fake that I purchased for $400 on Poshmark was, as soon as I received it, I submitted an order to Real Authentication. It was a $20 basic authentication, and unfortunately that authentication came back as counterfeit. So I just opened a case on Poshmark and was able to return that item because it wasn't authentic. I'm really glad Real Authentication has this service. It can just be really helpful to make sure that your item is legit and make you feel more comfortable and confident when purchasing on Poshmark. I've only had 2 scenarios where this type of thing happened, where I got a counterfeit bag, because I am really careful, but Real Authentication is a great service to use. I will link them down below. My last tip is not to be afraid of designer or luxury items that may have flaws if you think you can clean them up. So I brought an example of an item I purchased on Poshmark that is an authentic Gucci Marmont card holder, and it has a couple flaws, but I was okay picking it up because it is authentic and it was only $30, and I knew if the flaws really bothered me, I could go ahead and dye the leather to a different color and the flaws wouldn't show. So this is the Gucci Marmont card holder that I purchased on Poshmark. Like I said, I got it for $30. It is authentic, but you can see it has a little bit of wear there. And if I turn it around, you can see it has a little wear on the back as well. And once I got it in, I was actually okay with going ahead and just keeping it the way it is. But let's say I wasn't comfortable with because you really can't see it, I guess, when there's cards in there, they just kind of cover it up. But I guess if I wasn't okay with it, I could have just dyed this and it would have still been a wonderful Gucci item for a really cheap price. And same goes for any sort of clothing item. Maybe somebody's selling a really expensive designer dress, and the only flaw in it is that it needs a new zipper. That is a few dollars to replace. I think here in Wichita, it's like $23 to replace a zipper. But anyways, you could still pick up that dress, pay the $23 to replace the zipper, and you have a wonderful designer item for a great price. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes people sell discounted designer items because they have a little flaw, and sometimes you can clean it up, and there's a lot of tools out there to clean up different designer products. That's it for my 6 tips. I hope they were helpful. I wanted to end this video by showing you what I consider to be my best designer find ever on Poshmark, which just came in the mail a couple weeks ago. I've got it. It came with a dust bag. It's actually a Chloe Drew bag that I purchased from a new seller on Poshmark, and it's this beautiful pink color. I had been looking for this for a while. It was on my designer wish list, and I love the color. I think it's just so beautiful, and it came in very, very gently used condition with hardly any wear. So I was able to get this Chloe Drew bag for $300, and it is authentic. I went ahead and authenticated it, and it retails for about $2,000. So I definitely consider this to be my best luxury find ever on Poshmark. I would love to hear some of your favorite luxury finds from Poshmark or another selling site. Leave them down below in the comments. This is definitely mine. Hopefully you guys like it as well. I've been wearing it over on my Instagram page at Emily H. Munn, and I'm just loving it. I think it's so beautiful. So that's a little bit of a success story about finding awesome items that are luxury on Poshmark. Obviously, I've had a few cases that haven't worked out, but if you follow these tips, you might just be able to find a really, really good deal on an item you've been wanting. So if you like this video, if you like this type of content, don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I just appreciate you watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.